P.O.C. This is UPS documenting with the people of the state. I documented their license plates. That's a pattern of conduct. License NP130, engaging in harassment and furtherance of murder and psychological torture while stalking with the Upland Police Department, the City of Upland, and UPS in particular, and the Ontario International Airport. This is the pattern of conduct, and this is the entity that, I want to be clear, I'm holding up the middle finger. This is the entity that she's doing so as though she knows that she accomplished something with regard to what I'm documenting. All right. This is the entity that's engaging in stalking with UPS and feeling as though you've accomplished something. And she has. She's accomplished a case as a terrorist. And if she has any minor children, those children are also going to be treated as a threat while they're engaging in the pattern of conduct. Okay. As a household of the mentally ill. This is the entity that's engaging what is a U-turn over the 10 freeway. And everybody on the 10 freeway is also gang stalking. And this is everybody that's sharing in what is harassment as well. This is 7th Street and Euclid Avenue, where in Upland, California. This is Ontario, California, right here on the opposite side. And the entity is maintaining the fake sun as I'm coming down. And on Upland is maintaining harassment, stalking by helicopter, gang stalking as I'm going into Ontario. That's what you're paying attention to right here. This is the prosecution of the state. License 6 Sam Robert Victor 465. Gang stalking. And they're harassing together. They're not separate. This is one entity. They're all roaches. License plate 7 Paul George Paul 174. And this is the same freeway where I'm capturing the fake sun in the morning. And this is where the entity knows exactly where I'm at. That's why Ontario is at the freeway entrance, and the entity is engaging in what is the pattern of conduct of gang stalking in an adjacent city. That city that's also engaged in gang stalking. Knowing where you're at, targeting you in that adjacent city is engaged in the pattern of conduct, and I've already shown that. Andy Tuckerman is going to federal prison, okay? He's going to, just like Sean Thrasher is going to federal prison. Okay, that's gang stalking the manager of the Fontana Lewis Library. I documented her. Federal prison. License 9UOT089 8PIX 590. They're all engaged in harassment. This is documentation accumulation of the people of the state that are gang stalking with the entity that's using commercial airline companies that are going to be prosecuted. 6 Larry Kelly Charlie 037. This is getting to the threat that the airline companies that are gang stalking American citizens, murdering them, and doing so with a suicidal a suicidal group of people that board planes anticipating death. These are the demon-possessed. They're already dead. They're engaging in demonic activity. The entity intentionally crashes planes and kills American citizens. And the demon-possessed get on these planes aware of the fact that they're about to die. They do so targeting one person. They will sacrifice themselves in order to kill one person. And the entity is engaging what is gang stalking using... There's no takeoff over here. This is P.O.C. And I documented those houses that are right here lining the side of the freeway. I documented all them. They're gang stalking. The entity that's engaging in that sort of psychotic conduct is gang stalking with the demons that are engaging in what is harassment. I just want to be clear. That's the entity that's engaging in what is that impunity. This is taking off from over here, rising up in elevation. That's exactly what they're doing behind the Ontario City Hall. Okay, there's no takeoff, there's no land in back there, there's nothing but houses, and the entity just engages in this with regard to targeting where I'm at. That's called relevant positioning. And the entity is subject to federal prison. You're talking about prosecuting Bill Velto, Paul Leon, Mike Lorenz, Marcelo Blanco. You're talking about the entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct with San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department on this same street in the morning. Those 3 departments, by the way, are being disbanded. San Bernardino County Sheriff, Ontario, and Upland Police. And they're gang stalking. The airport's being shut down. Miles away from the Ontario International Airport to engage in what's supposed to be some that's not even a simulation of a takeoff. They're stalking 10989 Jerry 2. 8YEC 217, 9RLK 656, 8EWK 114, LEKIDZ. They need to be kept away from kids. That's a sex offender. 7FHG 181, 39279 Jerry 4. And this is the entity that's doing the same thing in the morning, where the fake sun at sunrise is over me coming from Ontario, and the entity is engaged in what is psychopathic pacing, because this is not traffic. This is how the government's maintaining surveillance on the roads and the highways, and maintaining aerial surveillance as you are looking at the evidence of me showing you ongoing stalking by commercial airline companies. Okay, and then as you look at it, it is very obvious that the entity is engaged in not only deviation from where planes are taking off and landing, they're doing so while they go outside of what's even published on the websites, for example, Ontario International Airport, where the entity is maintaining surveillance over me where I'm at, and they're also engaging in what is maintenance of a public nuisance while they're keeping the evidence that I'm publishing about them under surveillance. And that's why you have a plane that's taking off right here in the middle of what is the 10 freeway. This is POC. This is the entity that is, again, they have already conceded. This is really sad. It's tragic, but it's good that I'm documenting it because you need to understand that under these desperate circumstances, the demon possessed engage in what is harming as many people as possible. As many people as possible. The entity's at a different elevation, and they're in airport with commercial planes, and that is in Ontario. This is not coming from LAX, and this is not about to land in LAX, and this is at a greater elevation than the plane that just engaged in what it's conducting. A very poor level of evidence. To me, it's rich, but very poor with regard to what is hiding that you're stalking. The entity is blatantly stalking, and that's because they are engaged in what is criminal activity upon being exposed. 9XJY561 is stalking and furtherance of murder. That's a male driving that dark gray van. Gang stalking. This is a POC, and this is the entity that's doing so while they're hostile and harassing me because I'm documenting them. This is what the entity is doing as vagina monitors. And like I said, Andy Tuckerman, this is relevant to what I'm putting on X about him because I am not engaged in what is just picking on somebody that's innocent. He is indeed a sex offender, and he's engaged in sexual violence with the people of the state who engage in it with minor children. They go in there engaging in what is gang violence together, and they're sex offenders. And Andy Tuckerman is getting additional time because he's not only engaged in what is targeting furtherance of murder with the city of Upland, with the city of Ontario, with the entity, but he's doing so with minor children. And you are getting additional time for engaging in the terrorism with minor children, like what he's doing in the bathroom. All right, this is the mentally ill pattern of conduct, and these are the dead that have given up, and now they're engaging in it before you, before the whole world, and they're engaging in that which to their own demise. You're going to watch them be prosecuted. You're going to watch them be treated as the enemies that they are under martial law. This is POC. It is currently 7:31 p.m.